going to start by looking at CAD Object 4 in the Google Classroom. It's going to be helpful if you have this open on your Chromebook or on a second page so that way you can see the measurements. I'm going to start with a 3x5 rectangle. I'm going to offset that out 1/2 inch, and then I'm going to set these circles in the corners. Probably the hardest part about this is this circle right here, and I'm going to show you how we're going to create that. So I want to make sure to select New and grab My Template. You may need to browse to find it. I'm always going to draw in my model space. So I'm going to start with a rectangle. That's 5, not 8, 5, 5, 3. I'm going to offset 1/2 inch. Remember, I'm always reading my command bar to see what it's asking me to do. I'm going to grab my circles. I'm going to do a radius of 0.25, which this typically would have a diameter dimension because it's a closed circle, and our larger one would have a radius of 0.5. And then I'm just going to copy this to my bottom part. Now we can trim what we don't need. I know I don't need that. I won't need this part, and I can just trim away what's extra. Let's do that down here as well. Now, this is a pretty sharp corner, and remember I showed you that we need that radius of 0.25 there. If you grab your fillet and you do a radius, and I set it to 0.25, notice it's not actually going to let me fillet those two entities. So I cannot fillet between those two. So we're going to kind of force it to by drawing in a circle. But I don't know where the center point of that circle is, so I'm going to come down here. And there's different types. There's center radius, center diameter, 2 point, 3 point. And we're going to do tan radius, because I know that I want my circle to be tangent. If we look at that diagram, I want it to touch at one point the rectangle, and then touch at one point the circle, and then have a radius of 0.25. So that's what I'm going to look for, tan radius, and I'm going to select that. So it says specify point on object for first tangent circle. So I'm going to grab my circle, and then I'm going to grab my rectangle, and I'm going to specify my radius as 0.25. And it's going to draw that right in there. And I'm just going to do that a couple of times. So tangent, radius is 0.25. I'm going to do the same thing. Tangent, 0.25. And lastly, tangent, 0.25. And then I'm just going to trim what I don't need. So I don't need this part, and I don't need this part in here. Now, I can go ahead and do that for all 4 corners, but I'm going to simplify this for myself a little bit. So I'm going to take all of this, and I'm going to mirror it. So I'm going to grab mirror, and I'm going to grab my midpoint, and I need 2 points. So notice I'm creating a mirror line. So if I mirror about that, it's going to mirror about the line. And I'm going to come straight down and grab the other midpoint. Do I want to erase my source object? No. And then I already have all that work I've done. I'm just going to trim the extra. So you can go like skip the mirroring and just do it step by step, but I wanted to show you that mirror process. So there is my CAD Object 4, and I didn't check before. I'm just going to make sure all this is in my object layer, which it is. So let's go out to Layout 1. I'm going to double click to get into my model space, Zoom Extends, and I'm going to set this 1 to 1. And I'm going to change to my paper space. So that way I'm now editing the paper. DDE number, last name, first initial. This is going to be CAD Object 4. My ratio is set 1 to 1. You're going to put today's date. your block number, and this is drawing number 4. Not $4, sorry. Number 4. And then I'm going to switch into my dimension layer, and I'm going to dimension this. So from here to here is 3 inches. Bring that pretty close. Here to here is 5 inches. When I dimension, I don't want to grab, you might have to zoom in, I'm looking for that curve. So I'm going to bring this, and I'm going to bring that out. I'm going to do the same thing here, and it's okay that that's pulling a diameter. It's pulling diameter because this is a closed circle. So that's, if it's closed, it's going to give you diameter. If it's open, it's going to give you radius. And I'm just going to grab this curve as well. Notice I had to zoom in. If I'm zoomed out, it's trying to snap. I don't want to snap anywhere. I'm looking specifically to grab where that curve is. So I'm going to bring this out. And just going to grab midpoint to midpoint. And I want to specify, I'm going to double click to get into this text, into that dimension. I'm going to go to the end, I'm going to press enter, and still in all caps, I'm going to say this is an offset. So that way I know that that's an even gap all the way around. Let me just show you. I'm going to go into my paper space, or model space, and just turn that off. I don't need this many units on any of them, so I'm going to go to annotate, dimensions, modify, and I'm just going to bring this down to 2 decimal places because I don't have anything that goes out further than 2 decimal places, and it kind of cleans up the drawing. I'm going to make sure to save this. I'm going to bring it into my U drive, DDE, AutoCAD, Object 4, save, and I'm going to print it. Print. I'm always going to preview it just to make sure everything looks good, which it does, and then I can click OK and print that. If you have any questions, you get stuck, please make sure you ask.